They know him in Beijing and Boston, in Moscow and Manhattan, in London and, of course, Louisville. His is perhaps the most widely recognized image in all the world. So when it came time to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Colonel Harland Sanders' birth, Kentucky Fried Chicken wanted to share news of the centennial with the public. The KFC Public Affairs Department produced a video news release and distributed it by satellite on September 6th to broadcast news outlets nationwide. The corporation's VNR contained rare footage of the Colonel's first restaurant, where he developed the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe still used today in the more than 8,000 stores in 59 countries around the world, excerpts of interviews with the Colonel, historic television commercials produced for KFC in the 1950s and 60s, and the Colonel Sanders Museum in Louisville. The story of the Colonel's 100th birthday was well received by news media, and the company's video news release generated network and local coverage across the country.
This coming Sunday is the 100th birthday of one of the best-known American corporate symbols. It also happens to be a real person. The centenary of the birth of Harland Sanders, the old Kentucky colonel himself. Sanders was already in his 60s when he founded the Kentucky Fried Chicken chain of franchised restaurants back in 1952 on the basis of a secret recipe. By 1964, with 600 franchises, he sold the chain for $2 million to a group of investors. 7 years later, they sold out for $275 million. The colonel died in 1980, but 6 years later, the chain was sold again, this time to PepsiCo for $840 million, which in the chicken business is a whole peck of money, and no bones about it.
Colonel Sanders is turning 100, at least he would have if he had lived another 10 years. The man who founded the Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants back in 1932 would have celebrated his centennial this coming Sunday. And in his honor, Kentucky Fried Chicken will hold a series of celebrations around the world starting today. The colonel reigned over his franchises as a corporate spokesperson until 1980 in his death. Kentucky Fried Chicken is now the largest quick-serve chicken restaurant system in the world, earning a finger-licking $5 billion a year worldwide. Happy birthday, Colonel.
Kentucky is celebrating the 100th birthday of a favorite son this weekend. Colonel Harland Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, is being honored for his introduction of that American staple, fast food. One of the Colonel's first restaurants has even been turned into a museum. Sanders, who died 10 years ago, started franchising his restaurants in 1952. There are now 8,000 Kentucky Fried Chicken outlets in 59 countries.
One of the most popular men in the fast food industry. Out of a Kentucky kitchen came a revolutionary idea.
And the story is now told in the form of pictures, memorabilia, and videos.
Remember seeing this on your TV?
Last year in the United States, there were 300 million escapes. 1,000 were from prisons. 299,999,000 were from kitchens, which means that every single mealtime, thousands of housewives like you said goodbye to hard labor and hello to Colonel Sanders and his Kentucky Fried Chicken.
That, of course, was a commercial for Kentucky Fried Chicken from the 1960s. Brings back memories, doesn't it?
Kentucky Fried Chicken is holding a centennial celebration this weekend in honor of the man who started it all. Colonel Harland Sanders would have been 100 years old this Sunday. His legacy began in 1932 when he opened a small restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky. The colonel pioneered fast food, and his chicken became world famous.
Which means that every single mealtime, thousands of housewives like you said goodbye to hard labor and hello to Colonel Sanders and his Kentucky Fried Chicken.
The colonel always credited his success to his secret recipe.
I developed this special seasoning of 11 different spices and herbs that complement the flavor of chicken.
Colonel Sanders died in 1980 at the age of 90 in honor of the Colonel Centennial. The original cafe in Corbin has been restored, and a museum will be opened on Sunday. There will also be celebrations here in the Louisville area.
Well, if he were still alive, Colonel Harland Sanders would celebrate his 100th birthday on Sunday. Frank Hudson traces the Colonel and Kentucky Fried Chicken through the year on tonight's Hudson at Large.
From one who's master of my fate now.
The year is 1930. That's Colonel Sanders in the kitchen of his first restaurant, Sanders Court and Cafe in Corbin, Kentucky. It's the birthplace of Kentucky Fried Chicken, so noted today by the historical marker out front.
Well, I might say that my philosophy of business, or of action and work, was developed back at the time I got fired off of this $2 a month job that I had when I was just a boy.
He dropped out of school in the 6th grade. The colonel title was given to him by Kentucky Governor Ruby Laffoon. Now, fast forward to 1990.
Siempre tendría que buscar en las páginas amarillas. Gracias y disculpe.
Kentucky Fried Chicken headquarters in Louisville. This is called the home delivery room. Believe it or not, people sitting at home as far away as San Juan pick up the phone and dial a local number to order chicken. It rings in Kentucky. These people then relay the order to the restaurant nearest the caller, wherever he is. Colonel Sanders probably wouldn't believe the technology that now sells his 11 herbs and spices, but I'll bet he'd be proud.
And I've always given the best there was in me, and you'll always get the best in return. There's no question about it.
Happy birthday, Colonel.
Franchisees celebrated the Colonel's centennial in a different way, by holding a weekend of activities and events attended by franchise owners and employees in Corbin, Kentucky, the site of the first Colonel Sanders restaurant. These activities generated plenty of media coverage of their own and combined with the corporation's VNR to spread the word to Americans everywhere that Colonel Sanders is still remembered as the world's best-loved quick-serve pioneer.
Colonel Sanders, the Kentucky Fried Chicken King, would have been as proud as a barnyard hen. This past weekend, the folks in Corbin, Kentucky celebrated the Colonel's 100th birthday by having the world's largest chicken picnic. Now I know what they mean by wing-ding.
This is the 100th birthday of Colonel Sanders, the man who made it respectable to be a chicken. Take a look at what's going on. This is over at Corbin, Kentucky at the Sanders Cafe where it all began. Where in 1955, the Colonel revolutionized the fast food business by offering takeout chicken. This is part of the celebration, the parade through downtown Corbin. Of course, busloads of franchise owners wearing what else? You got it. They also had tours of, I kid you not, the Kentucky Fried Chicken Museum to see where it all began. Colonel actually started at age 65 with less than $100.
The original home of Colonel Sanders' Kentucky Fried Chicken. Historians have worked 12 years to renovate it in Louisville, Kentucky. It was in this kitchen in 1940 that the Colonel, Harland Sanders, invented a secret recipe, and a marketing empire was born. The Colonel died 10 years ago at the age of 90. His chicken kingdom stands strong, brings in $5 billion a year, and that's not chickens.